The best investment I've ever made. Hello, welcome to another series in my little podcast experiment. Today I want to talk about investing and, I'd say the best investment I've ever made. So before I get into the answer, I'm just going to give you a brief backstory for some context. So I think about maybe many years ago, maybe in my early 20s, I found myself in a situation, kind of a career crisis, because I did not, through a series of circumstances, did not have a high school diploma. And I struggled to find a career. I tried many factory jobs, bank teller jobs. I struggled to find a career, something that could give me a source of pride, but also, something that could pay the mortgage. Because most, in case you don't know, living a life without a high school diploma allows you to be qualified for pretty much minimum wage jobs. Legally thinking here, you can really only qualify for minimum wage jobs. Maybe construction, I don't know. That's never been my forte. So here I was in my early to mid 20s, and trying to find some career. I had no clue what a calling was. I think the only skills I had was drinking beer and playing Nintendo. At least those are the only ones that I recognized. So that was my passion. So I couldn't follow my passion because that would have led to a world of poverty. So I didn't know what to do. I eventually, I worked at a restaurant, and as you may have heard through some of my other posts, I worked at a restaurant, and I was a bartender, I was a server, I was a cook. Pretty much everything they offered, I would do. And they had like this management training program, and I signed up for it. And I really did not want to be a manager at a restaurant. But it was all that I had access to, and I crunched the numbers, and it paid a respectful salary considering what my options were. It was pretty much double of what I would have made, working a minimum wage job and serving tables. You're commission only, so there's no such thing as benefits or health care or paid time off. None of that exists when you're working commission only as a server in the restaurant. So I decided to be the manager, and I hated it, to be honest with you, but the training did open up something to me. Basically, what I would do is how this restaurant would train you is once a month, they would send you to ongoing education, and it would just be little finance courses, management courses. They'd give you a book to read, and then everybody would go and discuss some of the concepts in that book. This was the first time I had ever been exposed to something like this. So I really enjoyed the growth and the intellectual stimuli. So sadly, I did not make it as a manager because I didn't like the job. I don't think I did it well personally. I knew I didn't do it well, and my heart really wasn't in it. So I wasn't picked to be a manager. I failed, and I was depressed on one side because I didn't know what the hell I was going to do with my career. On the other side, I was happy and relieved because I learned a lot of valuable stuff, and I wanted to keep pushing forward in what it was they were teaching. So I learned what the other books that I would have read if I had stayed in the program. I consumed those books. Never really been a big reader of business, but definitely opened my eyes. And then suddenly I heard a commercial on the radio to get like a Microsoft certificate. It said, get a career in IT. It's just a random advertisement for some school that said, get a career in IT with a Microsoft certificate. And I had no idea what the heck that was, but I called the institution, went to it, and I said, I can have a career in IT. And I don't have to have a high school diploma. And they basically showed me different jobs that were kind of like contract jobs that really they didn't mention the high school diploma. They just said you need these certifications. So I went and decided to get the book for those certifications. I eventually enrolled in school, but the price was so expensive to take the professional training. So I went to, I just basically studied on my own, bought the books off eBay that the school offered, and instead of doing their lab work, I just focused on memorizing what I could in the book. I got some certifications in IT, and I think I got 3 or 4, and then started applying for some jobs, and I got it. I got a contract job at, a pharmaceutical company, and it was 3 times the pay of what I was making at the restaurant. So, wow, I had paid time off. I had to wear, business casual. I had to learn to iron. I got to work with others who had these amazing skills, and a whole new world opened up to me. And it was just a little help desk job. It wasn't any type of software engineer or anything vastly reputable, but it was a help desk job. And it was, to me, I had made it. I had arrived, and it was more than what I would have made as a restaurant manager. But I actually was pretty interested in what it was I was doing. So it was a win-win for all. And this didn't happen overnight. The series for me transitioning to a server to a contract help desk guy at a pharmaceutical company took me about 2.5 years. I failed a few of the certification tests. It didn't happen overnight. I also had to take some temp jobs. But that kind of goes to the point of my story where ongoing education was definitely the best investment I ever made. There's by far, it has given me a bigger return than anything the stock market would have offered. I've been actually investing in the stock market since my early 20s. I've been pretty good at always saving what I could, and no return on investment has tripled my salary or quadrupled my salary. And yes, ongoing education has increased my salary probably 100%. But not only that, it's rounded me as a person and allowed me to speak on topics that I hadn't otherwise known about. And I think that has also led to open up doors for me, which accumulates, helps me accumulate wealth. So it's a fantastic thing, this adult education thing. Now, I'm not advocating going back to college or spending a lot of money. I'm just saying learn more about stuff you're interested in and take time, seriously take time, whether it's put it on the schedule, 3 hours on a Saturday, an hour on a Saturday, a half hour each night. Take some time to read. I actually have a blog where I talk about how I did 36 books a year, and I want to make that 50. That's what I'm pushing for this year. So I kind of detailed how I did that, and honestly, it was easier than I thought. So adult education was the best investment I ever made, and it led to so much personal growth, maturity, but also now in my career, as a business owner and as my full-time job, I'm basically in IT management, and my full-time job, the books I continue to read on business, on IT, even current events, I keep trying to grow, and I see it allow me to make better decisions in the business world, where there's conflict, where there's difficult clients, where I fail. Books show me how to handle these things. And even with the baby, my wife and I read a few books, and it definitely adds perspective to some of the struggles we have with being new parents. So that's my biggest. I hope this wasn't I hope this podcast was not a Debbie Downer, because I'm not here to sell you some type of pyramid scam. This is just my personal insight. I'm sure others have also, what I'm saying may not be new to you guys, but definitely something that I wanted to really put emphasis on and tell you my experience. I hope this has helped. And if I did keep this a little general, because I am actually writing a book about this whole process and the detailed steps of what I took. But I wanted to tell you that story today just to kind of inspire everyone to open a book and to maybe take a course. I'll have some resources that I used in the links. Probably I'll make a resources footer on this video, on this podcast. Yeah, not video, it's a podcast. And on my website, I'll also have the transcripts, so that will have all the resources everyone needs to grow. If there's anything else that you need more help with or have questions, be sure to give me a shout in the comments, and I will look at it from there. You guys have a good week. Talk to you later.